Get it nice and warm for me?
Coach, if you wouldn't mind just starting us off with a brief opening statement as you come to Orlando, and then we'll open it up to question and answer.
I'm delighted to be in Orlando on the ground. Let me start that way. We had a kind of a rough ride coming down, but we've been here before and had a great time, and obviously getting an opportunity to play against a team as good as LSU with the tremendous tradition they have. I go back to LSU years and years ago when Paul Dietzel was coaching there, and they won the national championship when Billy Cannon ran that punt back. And that was Dietzel and I had been assistant coaches and competed against each other, so I was always interested in how he was doing. And of course we've as I said, watched them, and I haven't had a chance to really look at a lot of tapes yet. We're in New York at the Hall of Fame, but I watched a couple of their ball games on television, and they're an outstanding football team. So it's a real challenge for us, and I've got 17 grandkids. The oldest is 14, and they were praying we'd come here because of a little place called Disney World, I think is that what they call it. So we're excited about it. We really are. I think it's a great place to bring a team, and I think to be able to play a team as good as LSU with the great, as I started out saying, with its great tradition, it's going to be exciting for all of us.
Coach, we kind of overheard Les Miles when you walked out saying that it's an honor to be playing against you. Not every coach gets that from other coaches and other people in their profession. Does that sort of deference, does that ever make you uncomfortable at all?
Well, not uncomfortable. Obviously, it's always nice to hear somebody say something nice about you, but I've admired, one of my coaches, Ron Vanderlinden, who works for the linebackers, and Les were graduate assistants together at Michigan, and then they both worked at Colorado together. And once I knew we were going to play, I started questioning Ron about Les, and they couldn't say enough nice things about him. So when a man of that caliber says what he said to me, yeah, I feel good about that, but I'm not uncomfortable with it, no.
Coach, obviously you don't get to watch LSU play during the year, but what do you know about them now, being obviously an SEC team?
Well, I did see him play on television a couple of times. I saw most of their Florida game. I saw the last ball game because I really thought at that time we would be coming here, and that I was hoping LSU would be coming. So I've watched them. They run, they play well, they're well coached, they're tough, they've got a tremendous tradition. I think it's a big league program, and it's going to be a tough football game for us. And hopefully we can come down here and we can make it a good ball game, and we can have a little fun.
Being in the state of Florida today, and Coach Bowden calling it a career in his last bowl game, have you been able to speak to him at all? And if so, what were some of the words that were said?
I called him the day before on a Thursday, and Bobby and his wife Ann and my wife Sue and I have been on a lot of trips together and spent a lot of time together. And I've known Bobby as a colleague, in the sense that we played against each other when he coached against each other when he was at West Virginia, and then we played him twice since he's been at Florida State. And I've known him. So Sue had talked to Ann earlier in the week, and she asked about me. So I called Bobby, and I said, hey, Bobby, whatever you do what you want to do. And we talked a little bit about some things, and I said, boys, college football is going to miss you. And he said, I think that there's some people here who would rather have me leave, and I think maybe that's the best thing to do at this time. And we talked about a couple of things. I asked him about the kids, his boys, and how they were doing, and so forth. But he sounded upbeat. He didn't sound, he wasn't bitter or anything like that. He sounded, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm going to do it.
How did you feel about the way all of it went down? I mean, it seems like he was sort of pushed into it, as he told you. He thought some people would rather him just not come back.
Well, I'm disappointed. I think that when a man does as much as he has done for an institution, that he ought to have maybe a little bit more of a prerogative as to when he wants to get out of it. The media has made things tough, and we've had to depend so much these days on trustees and boosters and people like that in order to be able to compete with each other. When I first started to coach back as a head coach, we used to raise about $20,000 a year, and we did that raffling off a car. We had an alumnus who would give us a car at cost, and we'd raffle the thing off. And when I got to be the head coach, we needed some things in facilities, and I used to go around and tell our fans and boosters and alumni, I'd say, I want your money, but I don't want your 2 cents. All right? Unfortunately, that's not the way it is anymore, and I don't care where you are. There's some people that are, have gotten to be people that we have to depend on, and at times you've just got to, they've got maybe a little bit more influence than they should have. I don't know about that. I'm not saying that's true at Florida State. I just think I was disappointed to see Bobby get out of it, to be frank with you. I think he's been a great guy. He's a wonderful man, as honest as can be, and he's a very he's a devout man who doesn't go around trying to convert anybody. He lives a great life, and I think he's had a great family. And you hate to see anybody, as I started out saying, give so much help to an institution, but I think he'll be okay.
Does knowing that the record is safe now, or that you're going to get the all-time wins record, does that change your plans at all?
Oh, I've never really thought about that. I know, and that's, hey, when they put you in the ground and you look up, I don't think you can count them. I'm not. That'll be, if it happens, it happens. I've never been interested in those kinds of things. The competition that you get in, you can't start thinking about what if and but and so forth. You better concentrate on the people you're playing. You better concentrate on the kids you're coaching, because it's tough. Kids have a tough time of it today with all of the distractions and all of the pressure put on them. So that's a tough job, and I really don't have time to think about the other part.
Speaking of those distractions, I mean, you've seen pretty much everything that can happen in a bowl game and all of that. How much do you draw on those experiences to talk to your kids now to make them more comfortable and make this an easier experience for them?
Well, I try to tell them exactly what we have to get done in order to be able to compete. And obviously, when we're playing a team as good as LSU, that's not the getting good enough to compete is not hard. They'll practice hard and they'll come down here. But I'd like them to have a good time too, and that's where it gets a little dangerous. I don't have any, I don't have a curfew till maybe the last 3 days before the game, and I tell them, you guys go out, go ahead. I'm not going to bed check you or anything like that, but don't get in any trouble. And if you do, I'm sending you home. And talk to some of the leaders, the kids who have been at bowl games, particularly if you bring a lot of young kids, and just tell them, hey, you keep an eye on them and don't let them get too far away from you, and those kinds of things. But a bowl game is a reward. I think they've earned it, and I don't want them to come down to Orlando and not have an opportunity to have some fun within reason. And that's basically all we've done. And as long as we practice hard and you're working to be competitive, fine. And as long as you stay out of trouble, fine.